Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Investing Bros. It's me, T Shroom, and I've got a very special guest today as we celebrate Bitcoin getting up to $45,000. Did you ever think you'd see the day? Of course you did. We were here not too long ago, but it does feel special. 45,000. What is next? That is going to be the question that we are answering today. We've got some pretty exciting news. We've got some pretty exciting charts, but we've got the most exciting of all, which is our guest. And he is Army Piper. How are you doing, Army?
I'm doing great, brother. What's up, man? How you been?
I love it. Love to see it. Oh, man, I've been good. Keeping my eyes on the charts and on the news. And I've got a quote here that has come my way. I've actually been doing a little bit of studying of maritime shipping. And so this has been on my mind. There are good ships and wood ships, ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships. May they always be. An Irish proverb. How do you like that?
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Here, crack one open.
Is that a Red Bull? I like it. We'll get caffeinated here.
Get caffeinated.
All right. I love it. I love it. Well, of course, this is a big monumental moment because not only is Bitcoin getting up above 45,000, but Piper, it's been a little while since you've been back on the channel. You are indeed an investing bro, and I'm just glad to get you back on. We're going to pop open the charts. We're going to take a look at some different levels. But the first thing I want to ask is, what are you up to today? Or what have you been up to? I think that you've got a little YouTube channel that's been growing quite rapidly. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Little small thing going. Piper Academy. It's we broke 3,000 subscribers this morning. We just our first video just hit 4 months old, so we've gone 3,000 subscribers in 4 months, which is I'm humbled. I'm humbled by the growth rate. So it's now 3,100, almost 3,200. Yeah, it's going parabolic. People are FOMOing in to Piper Academy, and I love it. So shout out to the alumni.
Absolutely. Well, you can find the links to Piper Academy and Piper's Twitter account in the description of this very video. And there's a lot of other great links down there. We're going to talk about a couple of those as well. But Piper, without further ado, let's crack open the charts and see what we can't figure out. Look at that. That's
Let's
beautiful
take a look
price.
at it. It's Bitcoin. Beautiful Bitcoin here. So this morning, we were on the pump up here, and I said, look, guys, we're hitting into the golden pocket here, the 0.618 right here at $45,050. We were coming into that. And so what I was watching for was that we have a top side here on the golden pocket on the 0.66 at 45,500. I said, it's very possible that we could get a rejection here on this for a quick pullback. I said, if it does, I'm going to be watching for it, to come back down and test this previous resistance levels down here that are now support back down on the 50. I said, but ideally, what I would like to see is the rejection down, a retest of the 618, confirming the golden pocket, and then we get a bounce up from there. Well, that's exactly what happened here. We actually went up to 45,519, so I was off by $19 on my top side call there. My apologies to the community. But we have retested clean there at 45,000, about 45,000 even, I believe it was, like 44,902, and then went back up and are now moving to that upside again. So I'm actually looking for upside for a breakout. And let me go ahead and just grab a little path arrow over here. We're gonna pathway this. So what I'm watching for is this to come up here a little bit above the golden pocket, retest and confirm the top level of that, and then move up to that platinum pocket, which would be up there at about 46,833. We'll call it 46,800. Of course, if I'm off by $19, it'd be 46,850. So there you go. But that's what I'm watching for on that, is just to see if that happens there for that movement. And if that happens and we get confirmation into that 786 of the platinum pocket, then we're looking at like $48,000 Bitcoin again. And that's not too crazy to think about when we come over here and look where we were just at not long ago, creating these wicks all the way up here to $49,000. And that was just January 11th. So about 1 month ago, in the past 30 days, we've had a pretty decent move to the downside here. If we go ahead and measure this off, that move to the downside here came in at about 22%. And then, of course, coming back up to the upside, where we currently are right now, we're up about 18% recovery on that. So I don't think that that's too far fetched to say to get back up here into this previous cluster of volume over here at about the 786. So throw in a little fixed range volume profile on here just to see where we're at. We're well above the value area high, point of control, and value area low, where all the volume is. So we're pretty much back in pump mode on the way back up. You can see we do have a little cluster right here of volume that's coming in at about $46,000. We'll call it 46.1. But I think overall that we've got a good run right now to the platinum pocket as long as we hold that golden pocket of support. So
I like it. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm seeing too. I do feel like, this is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin likes to run. So there's always that, obvious voice in the back of my head saying, well, wait for a pullback, wait for a pullback. It could be an opportunity to short here. But this is Bitcoin, and this is getting close to the halving. I've been tracking a lot of the different narratives in crypto, and the halving just seems like, other than the spot Ethereum ETF, the Bitcoin halving does seem like the biggest dominant narrative. We've also got the Fed narrative. We've also got the regulatory clarity narrative, which is still alive and well with the XRP and the Coinbase case. But do you, Piper? Do you feel like the halving is kind of taking front and center here from a narrative? I know you're like, let's get back on the charts. Let's get back on the charts, T-Shroom. But stick with me here.
I can sit and talk to you all day, T-Shroom. You have no idea.
I love it. We're a couple of two great haired guys. We're just sitting
great
here.
Hair, beautiful hair.
We've got some of the best hair in crypto on this channel right now represented. But do you think that there is a bigger?
I don't know if we're supposed to put this out or not yet, but I'm going to go ahead and spill the secret. T-Shroom and I are actually going to break off and do a show totally separate from Investing Bros and Piper Academy called The Locks Brothers.
Yes.
Where we're going to give hairstyling techniques and tips and hair product reviews. So
yeah. And Revlon's on board. We've got a couple of hairbrush sponsors in the works. Yep. We'll be getting some discounts for the bros. But do you feel that there is a bigger?
My son turned around and just stared at me over here in my studio. So
having too much fun here. Back to the crypto. Do you think that there is a bigger narrative in crypto now than the Bitcoin halving, or is it kind of taking center stage and probably not letting go?
I think there's a lot of just hype around Bitcoin in general. The halving taking place at the same time, the ETF this, ETF that, boomer ads are all over TV now talking about the this ETF offers this, or this ETF fees or that, or and then of course in the stock world, which I think we might talk about a little bit today. You've got your mining stocks and your micro strategies and stuff that are just tearing off on the institutional side. And guys, I know that everyone thinks, Bitcoin, but what I want to point out is that the total market cap of crypto, all 20,000 plus tokens, is less than one company in the top list of the stock market. There's a ton more money sitting on New York Wall Street than there is in the entire global crypto space. So with some micro strategies, did I freeze up? No, I think I'm good. Okay. When I see something like micro strategies, I mean, there's a ton of money sitting in there in those. So what is the market cap there for just like Apple? I think that's greater than the entire crypto space, isn't it?
Yeah. So 2.9 trillion for Apple, 3 trillion for Microsoft, which is in the lead right now. Saudi Aramco not too far behind with 1.98 trillion. So Saudi Aramco not playing ball with any of these guys. I mean, they're in a whole different world, whole different industry. But absolutely, when we can get more buy-in from the biggest names on Wall Street, that could be very big for adoption. But I mean, right now it's hard to complain. We've seen a lot of adoption in 2023, seeing even more in 2024 with the passage of the spot Bitcoin ETF. Those corporations have been shy. Microsoft, Amazon, they've been shy. Google, but they have absolutely been getting involved in crypto, whether it be investing in projects or opening up, in the case of Amazon, their AWS services for a lot of staking type of services, adjacent services for that. They have been getting involved. And this could be the year where they take that next step. Apple. It's something you hear it talk about a whole lot, but the new Apple Vision definitely opens quite a few doors to the MetaQuest uh, type of world, the metaverse world, and that's going to be a pretty big narrative, I think, in
Absolutely.
24. Yeah. So, uh,
Yep.
so let's get back on the charts. I know that you've got more to show. Let's go ahead and keep that engine rolling.
Yeah, taking a look at Ethereum here, guys. Ethereum right now really just grinding along above the 50% line. As long as we hold this little range right here, it's coming in at about $2,400. That's the 50% Fibonacci here. As long as we hold that, I'm feeling pretty bullish on this. You can see we came down, got a double bottom in the platinum pocket, came up here, fought with that golden pocket for a while, and once we got up there and got above that 50, I switched over back to a bullish stance again. Because typically when we're below the 50%, then we are bullish, and below it we're bearish, and when we get above it we're bullish. So right now we're sitting there holding all the way back since we broke it here on Wednesday at like 9 in the morning, so yesterday morning. So for the past a little bit over 24 hours, we have tested that $2,400 range as support. So I'm feeling good there on that. If it does come back down, I'm actually watching for about 23.36. And as long as we hold that, we got the dynamic reactor running confluence right here across that 0.618. That is going to be a key level of support for us to hold. So again, that's coming in at about 23.50, we'll call it. But right now at $2,400 range, vitally important on a 4-hour for us to hold, to maintain that bullish momentum. What's really shocking for me is that Ethereum not competing at all with Bitcoin's dominance right now. Bitcoin dominance pumping back up here, harsh,
Big time.
sitting, yeah, big time. It's about 53% right now. This tear off that we got here, it's just crushing that chance, any chance of flipping on Bitcoin with Ethereum right now. So, matter of fact, if we go down a little bit further here, I can pull up the ETH to BTC, and you can just see it's just dropping because right now Bitcoin's moving like crazy, but Ethereum just staying flatlined there. So even got a reversal indication coming here saying, hey, we might be seeing some downside. And there we go. ETH is dropping on that versus Bitcoin dominance there. So
Yeah.
Ethereum, if it does hold this level here and we actually start to get, keep in mind, Bitcoin will move. Bitcoin will start to consolidate. Then the alts will move. We'll see ETH start to be one of the first movers there, along with a couple of other tokens, Solana, probably Matic, stuff like that. But when they do take off moving, it's not that far for us to get back to our local all-time high, which is about $2,700 there. So um, I think ETH is sitting in a good spot. That's my stance on ETH. ETH is in a good spot right now. Just don't lose 23.30. So
I like it. I like it. Shoot over to my chart. I've got actually an ETH chart pulled up as well. I was doing some sketches earlier this morning, and there's a lot of confluence between what you're showing, what I'm showing. So I've got the 0.5 here as well, and Ethereum, it came up and tested this level that I had drawn right at 2,454 per coin, and if we can get what I have written here is if we can get 2 candles to close over this on the 4-hour, meaning 2 4-hour candles to close above this level, I think then you can start trading with a pretty heavy bullish bias for Ethereum. As of now, as Piper, as you pointed out, we are above that 0.5 line, so you could kind of already have that bullish bias. But once we, but what did you see today? You didn't get not even a close, not even a close above it at all. Not even, much less 2 candle closes. So this is one way to kind of practice risk management is to draw a line in the sand. What is discipline? It's boundaries, right? So just drawing some boundaries. Now you might have a great reason for drawing your boundaries earlier, right? But as long as you're setting some rules and sticking to them, that's going to be really good for you. And then to the upside, got some kind of like planning here for where I would take profit. This coinciding with another Fibonacci, the 0.38. Right. And then, there's levels all the way up. So you can plan it all the way up, plan it all the way down. But Piper, absolutely, it's a whole lot of fun. You got something else to show on yours?
Oh no, I was just well, yeah, I've got other stuff to show. I was just moving my camera there, but okay. I'm looking at Stacks.
Let's take a look at it.
I'm watching Stacks, bro. So Stacks BRC20 token. I got into it. I want to say like November 6th. Absolutely just taken off. But one thing that I did here on it is I I put in, let's go turn off some stuff so I can just get some traditional TA in here. I put in some fib extensions here, trend-based fib extensions. Took it from this lower level here up to that peak and then back down, and that gave us this fib extensions. We have our, this is our typical fib channel of fib lines right in here, but then it gives you these beautiful fib-based trends for like golden pocket extensions, if you will. So I got like phase 1, 618, phase 2, 618, 3.618, so on and so forth. Right now, we're looking really good on stacks too. Stacks moving right in lockstep with Bitcoin right now because of what it is. And what I'm looking at it doing here is it's breaking up here on this phase 2 right now. And we have now held it. In this candle close, you'll notice we didn't even get that pullback that Bitcoin got. It's just kind of staying right there. I'm hoping that we get a good retest here on this 2.618, which is at about $1.80. And if we do that, then obviously I'm going to be shooting for us to get up to this 3.618 up at about $2.12. So watching for, maybe a little test here. And then sometime over this next 7 days, get that move up there. If we lose that level, then I do think that we're going to be looking at coming back down and giving us a little bit of replay back here on this little cluster. And we've also got one of my little support lines that I like to use from one of my indicators here, sitting at about $1.68. So that's what I'd be looking at for a retracement if we lose that phase 2 pocket there, that 2.618 at $1.80. But I'm hoping that we can test that, get that support bounce. Confirm, test, launch. Let's go, stacks. So here, you get an air horn for that.
I love it. I've got Ordi pulled up here on my screen. This is similar to Stacks, but not really. So Stacks providing a different service there, but in a similar type of vibe, one might say. So Ordi, it really isn't providing too much more value that I know of, but it's a meme coin of the ordinals, right? So this is kind of one that I've been watching as well. Doesn't look to be as bullish as Stacks today. How much is Stacks up just on the day?
On the day, let me go over here. Take a look. It says 9.84 for the past 24 hours, but if I do it on a daily candle here, since last night, we'd be looking at, let's see here, the close is there. Yeah, about 9.9%. So yeah, it's on track.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah, the Ordi candle is not as juicy. It's only up 4% right now, but it had a wick up to 9. So it's looking pretty good. Similar numbers, kind of in the same ballpark of response. One's a meme coin. Stacks obviously a little more utility over there. So I love it. Well, we've done a little bit more charts. Obviously, we'll be able to come back and talk more about them. But we do have some news, and Piper, I wanted to get your input on some of the headlines we're seeing today. The first one here is from Polygon. So Polygon releases Type 1 Prover, claiming milestone set by Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin. Maybe you've heard of him. So Polygon Labs, the developer behind Polygon blockchain, released Thursday a Type 1 Prover, a new component allowing any network compatibility with Ethereum's EVM standard to become a Layer 2 network powered by zero-knowledge proofs and to connect the Polygon's broader ecosystem. The Polygon team claimed the release as a major breakthrough, a technological feat that even Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin has touted as key to making auxiliary Layer 2 networks nearly equivalent to the base blockchain. That's pretty big right there. The Type 1 Prover comes as Polygon pursues its Polygon 2.0 roadmap with a focus on making its ecosystem more interconnected with big bets on zero knowledge or ZK cryptography as a core technology, but it doesn't stop there. At a high level, the announcement means that existing EVM chains or optimistic rollups can connect to their Prover without modification, then plug into Polygon's newly released aggregation level, providing access to all of the liquidity and value on Ethereum itself, according to Polygon's blog post, as seen by CoinDesk, like that little disclaimer there at the end. But zooming out here, this is a pretty big breakthrough. It's being called such by Vitalik himself, of course, and from all indications, this is going to give Polygon quite a big leg up. And a lot of speculation's been going around as to what the future of Polygon is. And I think that this is a positive note, moving in the right direction for the team. Is this something that you hold a decent amount of, or is this instilling confidence in those bags?
So Polygon Matic. Let me take a quick check here. I'm not sure what percentage bag that is of mine. I gotta pull up my portfolio site here.
Okay.
Polygon Matic in my bags right now are sitting. It is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. It's number 8 in my bag right now. So not mad at it at all. So wish it was doing better than some of my other higher bags, because I will tell you, when I originally bought it, it was like number 4 or 5. So
Yeah.
it's fallen down to 8, but still up for the time being right now. But yeah, I think I'm bullish on Polygon over time. My big concern with Polygon Matic is what's going to happen as these effective upgrades, like the Duncan upgrade that just took place with Ethereum and stuff, as these upgrades start to happen and they start to make Polygon's layer 2 ZK rollups and all this, the rollups that they do for the layer 1 Ethereum, a little more obsolete. What's going to happen with Polygon then? So,
Right.
but I don't think we're there yet. I think I'll be in my grave, and Vitalik Buterin will be a very old man when we finally see the Ethereum in its final form. So
Absolutely. If we ever do, I mean, as you know, our humans' relationship with software so far, even the biggest pieces of software, they get updated, right, continuously. So I think that trend would probably continue with the blockchain technology that's, really shaking things up, to say the least. Well, I think that's a good take. My overall allocation to Polygon is continuing to stay consistent, right? Even though it has underperformed the rest of the market, including, thinking of names like Solana and Chainlink, Bitcoin and Ethereum, AVAX. These names have all beat Polygon if you look at its proximity to the midline of the Bollinger Band out on the monthly charts, right? I believe Polygon is it's probably not still down 12%, but it's probably still only up. It's probably still only about 6% from that.
cameras on you.
I like it. So ultimately, I think it's still a good coin. I agree with you. They're showing progress with this headline here, and ultimately, this could go ahead and trickle into price going up and to the right, which would be really good to see. So I'm continuing to hold Polygon, but there's no buts about it. It definitely has been underperforming the market. All right, well, going on to our next story here, unless you had anything to add just to that last bit there.
No, I just want to point out to the viewers that this is why you diversify. Had someone been all in, married to the bag of Matic, and just aped in on everything Matic, you would not be sitting as happy as you would be if you had diversified out a little bit, spread out your generosity of your money to your assets there, and you'll be okay in the end. So I think Matic right now, it's my one of my lower performers. I've got things that have really done well, but I think Matic will have its moments. So this is why we diversify.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to put it. Matic will have its moment. Well, I went ahead and pulled up those monthly charts so we can see the Bollinger Band right now is in contention, right? So it was down about, let's see, it got as low as it wicked down to about 9%. And then the previous month here in January, all the way down to 20%, really from where this Bollinger Band has been living, right around that 80-cent, 85-cent mark. So, whereas if you look at Chainlink on a similar scale, this is the same this is the same Bollinger Band midline, right? And this baby hasn't seen the inside really of the entire Bollinger Band at all since back here in October of last year. But right now, it's currently sitting 100% to the upside of the exact same line, right, that Polygon is just now trying to break through. For Ethereum, we could take a look at it in a similar way. Ethereum, I've got a lot drawn here. You can see doing pretty well as well, 37%, call it 40. So doing pretty nicely. Matic, well behind, but I still think it could be a little bit of a straggler, and it's going to catch up, and it's going to do pretty well. Ultimately, still holding the faith for old Polygon, of course.
I think Mr. J in the chat here has the most valid point of all of it. Matic did not fall far from its all-time high as most tokens did. It actually held very well in the bear market. So
It's true.
the fact that it's not doing a whole lot right now is because it didn't get all that hype and that hopium of the very low numbers, like, picking up Solana at $2. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah. So, we'll see. We will see. But that's good to know, good to think about. Well, we've got an interesting headline here. I almost called you Tim Piper. We've got an interesting headline here, which is the following: Bitcoin ETFs now hold more BTC than MicroStrategies. So this is a pretty big moment right here. Check it out. The recently launched spot Bitcoin ETFs, including Grayscale, added nearly another 5,000 tokens to their holdings Wednesday, and now more than 192,000 Bitcoin own more of the crypto than MicroStrategies, which totals just under that, just 2,000 less at 190,000 Bitcoin as of the end of January. So this is a pretty big moment. Is this something that worries you from a centralization standpoint, Piper?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I know the white paper, talks decentralization, decentralization, decentralization. Hammer it until you breathe decentralization. But for most people, when they talk about Bitcoin being, astronomical numbers, it's going to the moon, this and that. At the end of the day, guys, decentralization is not going to get it there. It's got to be exposed to the entire world on a mass level. A lot of people don't know this little story here, but I'm going to give you it's story time with Army Piper. Fritos. You now know them as Frito Lays, and you now know a chip called Lay's potato chips, right? Fritos was sold out of a little general store, guys. Some dude picked up the recipe and the equipment to make Fritos corn chips, and he was making them in his little general store and selling bags of them, sealed little brown waxed bags, and just making a little bit of money. He bought it for like super cheap from an immigrant who was moving back to Mexico, right? They were popular. They were good. They had a nice little regional sales, but it wasn't until Lay's showed up and said, we have national distribution. We already have the warehouses. We already have the trucks. We can get this out to the masses, that Fritos blew up and became a household name. This is the GBTCs and the MicroStrategies and all the other ETFs that you want to mention that are going to do that for Bitcoin. This is getting it out to the masses. Bitcoin is doing great locally, regionally, small community, us crypto degens, and everyone laughs about every 4 years because we lose everything and then we make back even more money than what they've made their entire life. That's us. We are Fritos. GBTC, MicroStrategies, these big companies that are bringing Bitcoin to the masses, to the institutional world of investing, to TradFi, they are Lay's potato chips. So if you want your Bitcoin to be $1 million Bitcoin, or like the article I saw today that said $10 million Bitcoin in the next 25 years, that's how it gets there. These massive distribution systems like, the Lays of the TradFi world. So
I love it. Well, that's going to coincide really well with our factoid of the day, which we'll get to in just a second, but I'm seeing a pretty funny chat in here. Somebody's been paying attention. Mark Dutch said, 2 of these haircuts. Where is Shannon? Shannon, of course, was calling for Tim to shave his hair, and that is pretty funny. You might be wondering...
I saw that, yeah.
You might be wondering, T-Shroom, where is the Professor of TA? Well, he's not here today. He is actually over in Maine going ahead and doing a awesome snowboarding trip with his lovely wife and his little baby Brody, and hopefully we will get some pictures of Brody seeing his first snow. My guess is that has not happened yet, but maybe we're getting close to that. What's that?
Tim's doing it wrong.
Yeah,
he's going to snow up in Maine for a vacation next month, in less than a month from now, about a month from now. I'm going to St. Thomas. I'm going to the Caribbean to beaches. So Tim needs to switch his game up, unless it's that Viking blood and all that beard that just says I'm ready for cold weather. I don't know. But me, I'm going to the beach next month. So
I love it. Well, speaking of Fritos and shipping and distribution and travel, we've got our factoid of the day here for you, special for Piper. What is the largest port in the whole wide world? Is it A, the port of Busan, South Korea, port of Rotterdam, Netherlands, or is it the port of Singapore? Or could it be that it's the port of Shanghai in China? Which is it, Piper?
I'm gonna go with the port of Shanghai, China.
He's going to lock it in. Port of Shanghai, China. Now, usually there's a little bit of logic and reasoning behind, and I like your decisiveness. You just went into it, no explanation. But I would like to know why did you pick D?
I don't think that well, you said the largest, you didn't say the busiest, so I may have jumped too soon on that. But I've been to Busan in South Korea. I was stationed there for a year in the Army, so and it's a pretty decent port, but it's not massive by any means, I wouldn't say. The Netherlands, I just don't see that many exports coming out of there. But it might just be that it's one of those, hey, last stop before you hit Siberia type things. I don't know. But I was thinking Singapore, a lot of exports, and Shanghai, China. You got Shenzhen, which is 99% of the world's goods are made in Shenzhen, China. So
right.
That's why I went with Shanghai. It could be Singapore, but I locked in Shanghai. So
gotcha. Well, it's pretty interesting that you picked the one that you picked because, Piper, you picked the right answer. Port of Shanghai, China there. Left you in suspense. According to Wikipedia, the list of busiest, so interesting use of adjectives there, Piper. Largest, busiest, I'm not sure which to categorize it, but the list of busiest container ports, according to Wikipedia, is the Shanghai port, as you can see here. And then on this list,
and second was Singapore. So there you go.
Exactly. Second is Port of Singapore. And what's interesting about this Wikipedia page here in this list is other than Singapore, China dominates the top 10. You don't see the American flag. You don't see the South Korean flag until 7 and 9 respectively. And it is just it's pretty awesome what happens when you are the manufacturing hub of the world. So there you go. That is our cargo shipping moment there. Of course, there is a lot of news around this, which we're not really covering today. But the reason it was brought to my attention is because the Red Sea is experiencing some turmoil. Of course, we're seeing headlines from all kinds of different places. But I've been watching some trade videos.
From all angles.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah,
all kinds of stuff going on in the Red Sea. I've been reading a lot about that. So thank God I'm retired and they can't recall me because of VA. So
exactly. Love it. Yep. Best way to do this is to keep going. So let's see. We've got a really good story here. The next story is really juicy. You're gonna love this one, Piper. Hillary Clinton calls Tucker Carlson a useful idiot in response to Putin's interview. So it gets juicy here. He says things that are just not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin would give him an interview because through him he can continue to lie about what his objectives are in Ukraine and what he expects to see. It says the former Secretary of State on MSNBC. Can you believe it? She gave MSNBC an interview, Hillary Clinton. Well, anyway, what do you think about this? Do you think that Hillary's right, or do you think that Tucker's actually a bit of a hero for free speech, going and interviewing Vladimir Putin?
Well, I think it's her creative way of insulting anyone that she can. Anyone that doesn't support the dim left liberal movement. It's a way for her to insult because that's what she's good at. But I do believe with the term that she used there, useful, because this is going to get a lot of information out to people that never get to hear this side. Everything we get from Putin about Russia, what's going on, has all been put through. We call it gatekeeping in the intel world of the military, where they try to control the flow of information, filter everything out, and only give you prepackaged messaging that fits the narrative of the United States government and their national interest, right? So, being a person who worked in the military, I've been on the giving end of that to to the world, right? So, I think this is going to give people an opportunity to listen in and hear something that is not filtered through the mainstream media and through the U.S. interest gatekeeping machine that is. So,
Really well put, Piper. And I expect nothing less. I mean, this is kind of why I brought it up. I know it's got this kind of salacious, sexy political aspect to it, but in the same way, it is actually pretty important. I think just for free speech and for something a little less sexy as those principles, right, that we hold dear. And without them, who knows where we would be. But Tim and I both stand behind Tucker's decision to go do this. Don't think it's treason to the United States, and Hillary also just as much. I support her right to express her feelings and her thoughts on any matter. So it goes both ways. Just because I disagree with her doesn't mean I think she should be silenced. That's for sure. I would never think that. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But for so many people out there, silence is the answer, and I just don't agree with that. Well, speaking of which, we have not been silent because here on the Investing Bros, we have reached 8,000 subscribers. It's very exciting to see, and it's been a long time coming. Thank you, Piper. We started the channel in November 30th of last year of 2022. Excuse me. So we've been going strong for a while. We've been having a ton of fun, and Piper has been an absolutely huge part of that. So got to thank you for that, Piper. And you, of course, we covered it at the top of the show. Your channel, Piper Academy, which links in the descriptions, 3K. As of today is when you hit it, 3K?
Yep, this morning when we started off, I was actually called out this morning by Dave Digital. I think it was maybe it was Matt C. I don't know. I think it was Dave Digital, and he said 3K subscribers and you only have 50 viewers. And I said, well, I do have a very early morning show, and I do want to point out that this is Investing Bros with 8,000 subscribers with 100 viewers. So I'm doing pretty good with over 50 viewers at 3K. So we were a little shocked at first because of how quick it happened. So, now we're all like speculating and staring at it sideways a little bit, like what's going on here? But no, it was, we put out a video on 2025 Bitcoin prediction, and it's got like 7,000 views, and we're just blowing up. So
Absolutely.
I'm grateful. I'm humbled and grateful. So
exactly. And patience is the name of the game. We talked about Polygon today, and Polygon has kind of had a similar story where it's just kind of had a little bit of a slower patch, but just wait long enough and you'll see the growth that is equivalent to the amount of work you've been putting in. And so we're always excited to see growth in our little niche of the YouTube world that we try so hard to bring you guys the best up-to-date information for your crypto and somewhat traditional investment portfolios. So let's get back to the charts. I wanted to bring something to your attention, Piper, which has been catching mine, and that's that the Dixie. The Dixie has been testing higher, trying to get up to 105, has been failing to do so, putting in a higher low, which is nice to see. But we've got a very higher low here, which is not great because that's somewhat bullish. But putting in this lower high, is starting to show a good bit of consolidation, which isn't necessarily what we want to see, because now the Dixie is starting to consolidate up here at 104 when it was consolidating quite nicely at 103. So do you think that there's more, and I guess this is more of a fundamental question, do you think there's more of a likelihood for the Dixie pushing higher, given a lot of the economic factors and the factors we're seeing from China? Okay, I'm hearing a resounding yes. Tell us why.
We talked about this in depth this whole week, and I actually started last week on it because of what's going on in China. They're massively hurting right now. So a lot of people are international money. I said, look, the Dixie is going to be in pumping moments right now. When stock markets are pumping up with it, when crypto is pumping up with it, we're going to see that disengagement of that inverse correlation happening here. And the reason why is because when the Dixie moves and other things are going down, that's when local people are going risk off from the investment side back into the dollar. But remember, the Dixie is not just about risk on, risk off to U.S. stock market, to crypto for U.S. retail, stuff like that. It is also weighted in a weighted basket of other economic currencies throughout the world, to include China, right? And so when you look at what's happening with China, the whole BRICS system, you had a lot of people that pulled their money away from the U.S. dollar, went into BRICS, and are probably second guessing themselves right now with good reason, because they jumped too quick and didn't really think this through on how strong the U.S. economy is against the global competitors. So no, I think this is absolutely going to happen. I've been saying that this was going to happen before we went into this pump back up. And I think that this is what it's going to look like for probably the next 6 months, as long as China's economy continues to slip. Their CSI 1000, which is like their S&P 500, had like a massive drop, and they had to stop all short selling in the nation, and they had to cut out everything, like just freeze everything because people were selling it so much. So yeah, there you go. And this is just following suit. So their New York Stock Exchange, their Wall Street is now finally starting to catch up to the real estate collapse. We're talking over here about inflation, and in China, they're in disinflation. Their CPI was like negative 0.8 today. It's really, really bad how horrible their economy is doing right now. China's on the brink of, no matter how much stimulus they pump into the economy, it's not working. BRICS, people that invested into BRICS are now second guessing and starting to pull their money back out of BRICS. So you're going to see the Dixie gain some strength, and China's in big trouble right now. Big trouble. So.
Yep. So it would seem. Now I'm not as much of a technical analyst expert as you are, Piper, but when I look at this chart here of the CSI 1000, if you go back to this May low here, May of 2022, this low, it looks a bit higher than this low here. Which if I know anything,
it sure does.
A lower low there, and that's not good. Now, what did end up happening after this low is it got back up above the midline of the Bollinger Band and was able to push on. And on the daily, I was about to say I don't really find much identity in the CSI 1000, but you can say, we are trying to struggle through this midline and get up above it. Now, if you drop down to the 4 hour, you can take a look, and it actually has broken above. Now, the last two breaks were pretty short-lived back here in December, and then more recently here in late January. They were pretty short-lived and ultimately not only broke back down, but made a move to the downside, lower low, up here break, and now this brings us to the present, much more lower low. Now how much of this, Piper, how much of this pullback, this test higher is just pure stimulus from the Chinese government, from the CCP? How much of this is stimulus? How much of this is just people trying to think into the buy in the bottom?
Well, I think it's. I think you're talking about the sentiment versus the tool that they're using. I think the sentiment is that they're hoping to catch a bottom, right? And the tool that they're using is a lot of that stimulus coming out. So they're one's method for the other's madness, So, but I think as long as their CPI is coming in with the numbers that are coming in on it. And if you guys go to the economic calendar that we all show here, we pass the same website around. You guys can go in there and look at China stuff. Their numbers are coming out. There's nice breakdowns in there. It's not pretty. So
yeah, especially the youth unemployment rate, which hasn't been reported on for quite some time, as far as
they just stopped.
As far as I know.
This is such a bad number. Stop talking about it. So.
Yeah, but America would never do anything like that. All right, Caspa's been doing pretty well, and we want to take a look at the Caspa charts. Piper, you said you had some things that you were observing on what is turning out to be a pretty exciting February for Caspa. Let's jump over there and see what's crack-a-lacking. Oh,
let's do it. Largest port, what? So taking a look at Caspa here, guys, we did get a nice bounce here. Phase 5 golden pocket. These are trend-based fib extensions again. And I actually called yesterday that we were pushing on this, and I said, look, I'm going to be shooting up here for this phase 6 golden pocket at the 12.8. So that would be the next target that I would shoot for. We actually went around, me and TA Tim and Bedredden in the Discord, Investing Bros Discord. He said, I think it's going to come back. And I said, well, I could see a small retracement as it gains some energy, hence that purple candle. I said, but I think that we're heading up still. And Tim was, yeah, I could see that for a quick scalp. So that's exactly what played out. Quick scalp there for Tim, my swing trade to the upside. And then I put a red box up here. T-boxes, as you guys know, I call them. They're, in paying homage to TA Tim, the little T-box up here. I said, look, we got a nice resistance up here. We're going to be hitting that phase 6, and we do have the delta line up here from my predictive ranges. So this looks like where I would put my first target rejection, and that's what we're getting right now. However, I will point out, not getting too much rejection, kind of consolidating right there. I think we're going to be making another run at that probably tonight or tomorrow morning. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, my chart looks a little different for Caspa, but still trying to chart it out. Take a look here. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I've basically got a pretty big box here, big T box, maybe you could say, because I've been tracking this one price right here. It's a pretty historic price of 12.5, so 12 cents 5. And this is the first time that we've gotten a candle close on the 4-hour above that 12.5 level since all the way back here in December 15th, right? So we've wicked in twice, rejected off without closing on the 4-hour, coming back and putting in a lower low for Caspa. Back here it was around 10. Back here is around 9:30, right? Now we've got a higher low coming in here, you can see, and that's set up for the perfect storm to go up and now print some candlesticks up there at up and above and just north of 12.5. So it's pretty bullish. I'm expecting, a cool down, maybe even a test back to right now. It's testing this exact level that I have drawn down, this downtrending line of what was resistance and could be in real time getting flipped into support, or and this is right around just under that 12.5 level, or come all the way back down to 11.5. Now I think, and I want to see if you agree with me on this one, Piper, and generally just love your input on the chart that I have drawn. But do you think that Caspa's movement is coinciding here with Bitcoin, or do you think its movement is kind of out of its own kind of traditional or kind of technical analysis, or do you think it's just kind of riding the Bitcoin wave?
Obviously, most of the alts, they ride that Bitcoin move. If Bitcoin's going up, the alts get a little bit of that center of gravity pull with it, right? It just happens that way. It's like when the Titanic sinks, you want to be away from the water, away from the boat, because when it pulls down, the vacuum pulls stuff with it, right?
Yes.
I think right now we're seeing that in general with the alts, but I think that Caspa is just the amount of people that have been accumulating low and don't want to sell. There's a lot of hopium on this, that this token can pump, another 30x from here, which is very possible for what Caspa is. Crux did a big, huge deep dive on this token, and he's been teaching me a lot about it. And what they're doing is revolutionary in the crypto space. Once stuff starts getting on this, once this hits a centralized exchange, once smart contracts start being built on the block DAG, I think Caspa is going to rock a lot of people's worlds. So,
I like that. That's kind of what I'm betting on, right? I've got a pretty big bag relative to the rest of my portfolio. I've got a pretty big bag of Caspa, and I'm glad that I bought when I did. I actually picked a little bit up at 4 cents, so I'm glad I did. I don't know if I'll ever be able to buy that low again. Probably not.
So Mr. J actually called that out. That I was doing a call on Caspa at 4.5 cents that it was a perfect buy position, and he missed out on getting it at 4.5 cents when I was telling everybody, buy here, this is the place. Mr. J was like, I missed it, but that's okay. It is what it is. So he still got in, and he's still in profit. Anytime this pulls back to another support line, previous support line for retest, I just been scraping up more. So matter of fact, I should have put a little more into my Caspa bag when I sold all of my XRP and all of my XLM 2 months ago. Because I picked up Solana, Chainlink, and something else. I don't remember what it was. I still can't remember. I picked up a third token with it, along with Chainlink and
AVAX,
Solana. So, AVAX. That's what it was. AVAX.
How did I know?
Solana, AVAX, and Chainlink. There you go.
That's actually kind of impressive.
Good job, man.
I impressed myself with that one.
I should have put some more of that into Caspa when it was down at that level, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is.
Hey, AVAX is going to perform real well too. Well, something that's unfortunately performing well is oil. I don't know if you've seen, but today up to $76 per barrel. Oil has been on a bit of a tirade, kind of quietly making a move higher, and then today not so quietly as it's up 3.3%. Of course, oil, a huge part of the inflation narrative. Is this worrying you, Piper, at these levels? I mean, we've now exceeded the high that we saw back here towards the end of December. We took a snooze fest, came back up, and in January went ahead and tested higher, but since then have pulled back. It got a higher low there compared to back here and these consistent higher lows. What are you thinking with oil here? Do you think it could turn around and smack old Joe in the face and give him a real run for his money here going into the 2024 campaign?
What was that low amount?
The low is this low right here is 71.8.
Yep. Okay, so funny point about that is the national reserves, the petroleum reserves that for the United States, that purchase amount that we typically try to hit that threshold where we refill those reserves is $70. So it's interesting that we came right down on right before it. I'm hoping that the federal government wasn't hoping for, another refill moment there to add to our national debt with, but they didn't get it because $70 is their threshold. So I can say what I want now. Take my security clearance. I don't care.
That's pretty funny.
So
that's pretty good.
I think it has the potential to go up, especially with we were talking about the shipping cost. The Red Sea, kind of a no-go zone right now for a lot of shipping containers. If you're wanting low-risk shipping, you got to go around the long way. That's more fuel usage, and also longer to get fuel around to those ports of entry for like the United States and stuff. We don't use our oil for gasoline. We don't have the good rich crude, so we don't have the sweet oil here. We got the other oils. So
yeah, absolutely, the sour oils, if you will. Not that I know too much about oil, but you there in Texas, of course, you guys get the education every time. I'm sure you interact with.
I know that my gas is cheap in Texas. I know that.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. Well, it does worry me a little bit. Not a whole lot though. Oil, in my opinion, is the biggest input into inflation. I don't care what anybody says. I think it is, and it's been the variable that has played along the most post pandemic. You can see, obviously, this got very, very overbought. And this is just going back to October of 23. If we go even further back to the actual pandemic era, you can see oil got very, very high. And this played a very big role in why inflation got up to 9.1% here in the United States. So the fact that we're coming back down here, staying below, really function. I mean, these days, staying below 70, staying below 80 kind of is the big psychological number, has been bullish. It has been bullish because it gives Jerome Powell kind of the ability to say, we're not going to hike, right? Because we're able to, see kind of inflation coming under control, oil being a large part of that. So, we're grateful. We're grateful to see it. Piper, are there any more charts kind of as we wrap up here? Are there any more charts that you wanted to bring us? I know Polygon was one that we had chatted about before the show. What else do you have that you'd love to show the bros?
Yeah, I said I was going to bring this up to the peoples on Twitter today because you and I had discussed it, but we never got to it. So I'm going to try to rip through this super fast because everyone talks about Bitcoin. And we were talking about this earlier. This kind of loops back around to that about the institutional exposure, right? If you take a look here at the last cycle, this is the last bull run. Bitcoin had a 2,109% move from its bottom to its top, right? Currently, right now, Bitcoin's sitting at about 193% up, so about 1.9x, almost 2x up, right? So that's what Bitcoin does, right? But if you take a look at some of these like Riot, if you take a look at Marathon, you take a look at CleanSpark, even MicroStrategies, you can see something here. If you take MicroStrategies from the bottom here of where we were in the Bitcoin cycle, I've got them synchronized. You can see that there. I didn't even take the bottom for MicroStrategies. I took when the bottom for Bitcoin was. Bitcoin up 193% right now. MicroStrategies is up 282%. If you take a look at Riot, it's up 200. Actually, excuse me, sir. It is actually up. Let's see here. 21,000% from its lower bottom there. So, I mean, that's pretty insane. That can't be right. What is going on here? Come here, sir. Oh, 210%. My bad. I knew that wasn't right. I couldn't get it to isolate. 210%. Still better than because some of these last numbers are that way. If you look back here on this cycle, 6,000% move for Riot platforms versus last cycle for Bitcoin having a move of about 12,000%. So that's Riot. But if we go over here, let me hit my auto. There we go. Come back in. Bring it back like you left something. I want to show you what MicroStrategies did last cycle. There we go. MicroStrategies last cycle versus Bitcoin. There we go. MicroStrategies, Bitcoin. There we go. MicroStrategies last cycle did 1,000% move from its bottom to its top. Did not perform as well as what we saw on Bitcoin. However, this cycle, 282% move on MicroStrategies versus 193. Marathon Digital did amazing. I keep clicking the wrong chart. Let's leave that there. There we go. Let's hit Marathon Digital over here, and you're going to see Marathon Digital up 234% right now. Actually, we got a pump again. Let me recorrect that. MicroStrategy or Marathon, up 251% right now. Last cycle for them, 21,860%. That was where that 21,000 number I was remembering versus 2,100. So Marathon Digital last bull run did a 10x above what Bitcoin did. Getting into some of these stocks, like these mining stocks, and to things like MicroStrategy is the equivalent of buying Bitcoin with a non-liquidated, no-risk chance of liquidation, 2x, 3x, 10x Bitcoin run. So if you want to buy a Bitcoin and do a 10x trade on it with the risk of liquidation, then just go ahead and find that next mover that's going to do a 21,000% instead of a 2,100%. And there's your 10x with no leverage needed. So
absolutely.
I just wanted to bring that up. There's some really good plays out there. And this is the power. This is the power of institutional money and TradFi having access to Bitcoin. This is their exposure. I think the ETF is going to do a lot for the Bitcoin price, man. I really do. So
absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And now that you've stayed this long in the show, thank you. First of all, thank you so much. Please smash the like button and consider subscribing if you've gotten some value here. But here's a little extra reward. A little insight into my own personal finances is that I went ahead and took a step away from the military this last year. And there's a lot of reasons about that. I won't get into it here, but when you're in the military, everybody gets set up with a 401k equivalent, and I have that 401k now coming my way, and I'm rolling that over into brokerage, right? And I can buy crypto with it, right? But I'm thinking I have so much crypto, I want to actually go and buy some equities. And I called up Piper, I believe it was Tuesday, and said, talk me out of buying BitX, because I just do not see a better investment than BitX, which is it's a double leverage ETF, futures ETF of Bitcoin futures. And Piper, you said basically, I'll let you tell it. So and then I'll kind of give my decision and kind of my breakdown.
Yeah, I said just right now, if you're going to use that $600 anywhere, you need to be looking at what we just discussed. I said, and I told you that there's been some really amazing performers that are still exposure to Bitcoin for the bull run that historically have done better. And so we talked about MicroStrategies. I said, divvy them around. Look, get some MicroStrategies, get some Riot, get some CleanSpark, divvy it around, $100 each. I think you were talking about $600 or something at that point. Divvy it around $100 each, and let it run, and you're going to outperform your Bitcoin most likely from this point on. So,
yep, absolutely, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And it's about $880, which isn't very much, but I was only in the military for about a year and 11 months, something like that. So I wasn't in very long, right? It kind of gives you an idea. And the other thing too is I was in the National Guard, right? So I wasn't actually getting a paycheck every day, or I wasn't earning money every day. I was earning money once a month for about 3 days. So that's a little bit of a peering into my personal finances. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm more than likely just going to go ahead and split it up the middle on CleanSpark and MSTR, which is MicroStrategies. And I'm going to keep it simple and just do that. I've already got a decent allocation into a different IRA into BitX. So, and that's just, that entire IRA is just BitX, which is actually kind of funny. But that's kind of the way that I approach the market is there's nothing really with as young as I am, just about to turn 30 this year. With as young as I am, I have a tremendous advantage in my risk tolerance. So my whole thought is just go Bitcoin, right? So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Just go Bitcoin. Just do that.
It's probably going to be another 1,000 years before the world's currency is reevaluated and reset. We're living in a very unique time to be able to observe this. This is probably like 80% of the reason I do this channel, and I love doing it, is because of observing basically another industrial revolution, and it's a currency revolution, and it's really exciting, and it doesn't look like it can be stopped. So I'm going Bitcoin. I'm going with MSTR, which is, if you really think about it, they're a software production company that happen to own $190,000 Bitcoin, right? And then CleanSpark is just kind of one of my favorite miners. I already own a decent amount of it, but I'm going to roll that over into a tax advantage strategy. Speaking of Piper, it's been a real pleasure, and I appreciate you coming on. And we'll have to do this again soon. It's been a huge pleasure. Do you have anything to say? I know that we've already thoroughly plugged. If you listen to the sound of my voice and you do not already follow Piper at Piper Academy on YouTube, stop what you're doing, put down the cat, right? Get out of the shower, whatever you were doing. Don't electrocute yourself. If you're on the interstate, pull over, get off in the next exit, and go subscribe to the Piper Academy. Follow him on Twitter as well. But Piper, do you have any closing thoughts for us as we
really, at the end of the day, guys, it's really about getting your positioning in whenever you have bad days, when everybody's running away from the streets because it's raining brimfire and hailstone. That's when you should be going out there and picking up those choice things that you've been eyeballing already. So and at the end of the day, we're just beginning. We're still early into crypto. We're at the beginning, not even hitting the halving yet. We've got a long road ahead of us. Just breathe.
Just breathe. I like it. And with that, we will keep inhaling and exhaling, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bros. I'll see you then.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividends. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.